Bills Mafia. Tonight on the Air Raid Hour post-game show, we are diving into all things Bills Jets. We've got the latest injury updates, major takeaways, and a whole lot more. Stay tuned. This is a breakdown you won't want to miss. But first,
welcome to the Air Raid Hour, a Cover One Network podcast. Here are your hosts, Judge Mathis and Tilt Money.
welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to this Victory Monday edition of the Air Raid Hour. My name is Steve Mathis. You can find me on X at the Bills Guys. Joining us as well, my co-host Dave Tilton. You can find him on Twitter at Tilt Money. This show brought to you by Picasso's Pizza and the Cover One Sports Network. The Buffalo Bills defeat the New York Jets, or as the intro graphic so wonderfully put it, ground the New York Jets 30-10. A nice sound victory over a division rival early in the season. I think by far my favorite part of the game was Mitch Trubisky coming in for 2 plays and having more passing yards in totality than Justin Fields did in his 3 quarters of work. Great rebound from the defense, a workmanlike day from the offense.
Yeah, this reminded me of those "Life Comes at You Fast" commercials for the New York Jets, right? A week ago, pretty good effort against the Steelers, and then kind of just really fall flat on their faces. And Aaron Glenn didn't have his best day either coaching, and it was bad all around for the Jets, and really pretty much generally good all around for the Bills. But man, that was a really good win for the Bills, a divisional win, an AFC win, a road win early in the season. Obviously, those are all really important things to kind of start stacking some wins, as we mentioned, kind of going into the game, stacking these wins in this stretch of the schedule, and really by pretty much the entire game was stress free, to be perfectly honest. And you always love those kind of games, and you also love that these Victory Monday shows that we get to do, and we're fortunate that in the time Josh Allen's been here, we've had more Victory Monday shows than we've had therapy sessions, which has been great. And this was another nice sound victory for the Bills, and we're going to get to it all tonight. But and also a big bounce back, I think, for the defense as well. So really happy to see that. Unfortunately, it came with some other news today that we're going to get into on the injury front, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, we will get into the injuries in a moment, but yeah, it's almost like we've just got so many wins in the Josh Allen era that those therapy sessions, like, we legitimately need them because we're just not used to losing anymore, at least in the regular season. But you mentioned injuries, some new injuries coming out of this game. Matt Milano with a pec. He did not participate in practice today. Remember, it is a short week, so they are hopping right back into practice. Cam Lewis with a knee. He was a limited participant in practice. You have some ongoing injuries carrying over into this week. Ed Oliver still in a boot. He was DNP. Taron Johnson still limited with his injury. He was limited in practice today, and Shaq Thompson limited in practice today as well. The big one here, obviously, is Matt Milano. There is a little bit of concern at the nickel cornerback position, especially with the Dolphins coming up with Lewis and Johnson dinged up. But Milano here, he missed 5 games a few years ago with a pec injury. We saw Terrell Bernard miss 2 games last year with a pec injury. We saw Daquan Jones fully tear his pec and miss 10 games just 2 seasons ago. So we are not unfamiliar with pec injuries here in Buffalo. This, maybe isn't on the more serious end of things based on just, Matt Milano didn't have a brace on. He had some smile on his face at the end of the game. People taking photographs of him, video of him. He didn't look to be disheartened or upset. But obviously, DNP in practice, unlikely we see him on Thursday. This could be a multi-week injury for now Milano to go along with Ed Oliver.
Peanut butter and jelly, bacon and eggs, C3PO and R2D2. and Bills defensive players and getting injured. All-time duos, I would say that it's up there. I mean, name a better duo than Buffalo Bills defensive players and injuries. I mean, it's just wild how this happens to this team
Mhm.
every single year, and a lot of times it's happened early in the season. Milano now multiple time injured. The injuries are starting to pile up, right? We don't know if Taron Johnson's going to play this Thursday. Milano now looking potentially at a multi-week injury. Ed Oliver, obviously looking at a multi-week injury with him. And, the silver lining here, I guess, to all of this is that this stretch of the schedule, as we mentioned about in the pregame for the Jet Show, is gettable. And so if you're the Bills and you're looking at this on the short week against Miami Dolphins, like, that's another divisional game. Yes, it's at home, but they had some signs of life against the Patriots offensively in this past game, and you're going to be down some defensive players. And I know the Bills have had some really good a really good track record against the Miami Dolphins, but man, it's tough to start seeing all these injuries still piling up, and we're not even to week 3 yet.
Yeah, 100%. We'll keep an eye on that as the week progresses. Got a couple of chats coming in. Jose Nieves says, "What's up, Bills Mafia chat? I'm born in Puerto Rico, but since I moved to Buffalo early 90s, I'm a Bills Mafia for life. Let's go, Bills. Where else would you rather be?" Welcome in, Jose. And thank you so much for commenting. And Pops Mafia comes in and says, "Glad to be home after open heart surgery. The cardiac wait was an interesting place to watch the Ravens game." So, hey, our thoughts are with you, Pops. I had no idea you're in the hospital. I'm glad you're home. I'm glad things are getting better. And yeah, I'm glad that game didn't make you any worse for wear on your road to recovery there. The Bills are 2-0 to start the season, which is always good for, I think, everyone in Bills Mafia's heart health. So, Pops Mafia, thank you as always for being in the chat as well. One stat that I found really interesting with this game before we get into our one big thing is 24 straight games where the Bills have tied or won the turnover battle. That is an NFL record. And last year we had the complimentary football tracker. And last week I just did not feel like busting that out again because that game was just, there were so many other talking points. And those are the kind of football games where, data tracking and stuff, just you throw it out the window. But for this game, I brought it back and you look at the complimentary football tracker. There are 4 things that I like to track every single game: time of possession, turnovers, average starting field position, and competitive downs, how teams do on 3rd and 4th down. The Buffalo Bills, their time of possession in this game was 38-21 compared to the Jets 21-39. So they had 17 minutes more time of possession. The turnover battle, the Bills won 1-0. Field position, the Bills' average starting field position was a 32-yard line. The Jets just the 25. So the Bills started on average 7 yards ahead of the Jets on their drives. And on competitive downs, the Bills weren't the greatest in the world, 7 of 17, but the Jets were 0 for 11 on 3rd down, 3 of 3 on 4th down for a total of 3 out of 14. So the Bills won that competitive down situation 41% to 21%. So a complete and total domination from the Buffalo Bills in all 3 phases. They played complimentary football in this game.
They really did. And I was, it's a 2-game sample, right? Because they've only played 2 games. But we talked about in the pregame, the Bills were the fourth worst 3rd down defense in week 1 in terms of percentage conversion allowed. Because of that 0 for 11 against the New York Jets, they have vaulted to number 1 in the NFL in 3rd down defense from a conversion rate allowed perspective through 2 weeks. Now, this is all going to obviously change a bit over the course of the first several weeks of the season, but it is interesting to see that team, who really the Jets played pretty decently in their own right on 3rd down offense against the Steelers in week 1, the Bills to come out and completely shut them down from that complimentary tracking standpoint. 0 for 11 that's insane. I mean, very rarely do you not see a team convert in any 3rd down in an entire game.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. And that is going to lead us this evening into our one big thing. Every week, there's a ton to talk about. We like to talk about pretty much everything. Like, we're going to really go through it over the course of the podcast tonight. But we always like to challenge ourselves at the start of the show. If we had to pick one thing from this game that we're going to take away from this, we're going to carry over into the next couple of weeks, what would that be? Dave, for you, what is your one big thing? And while Dave's talking, while I'm talking, feel free to share your one big thing from this game in the comment section as well.
So I cheated a bit and I saw, the show notes you shared with me.
Mhm.
So I'm going away from that because that was definitely sort of on my radar. But I'm gonna go another one big thing. I'm gonna continue on the one big thing from a week ago, which was James Cook for me. I it was Josh Allen really, but James Cook was part of sort of that discussion as well. But I'm gonna go with James Cook in this one. Um, the tape cut-ups obviously show Cook's ability that he brings a bit more than what guys like Ray Davis can bring to the table, and some of those cut-ups show that he's making some things happen even when the defense is playing, uh, playing for what the Bills are going to be doing. And James Cook, 21 carries for 132 yards in this game, 6.3 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. He's now on the season at 176 yards through 2 games, 3 touchdowns, is added in 6 catches, is averaging over 5 yards per carry on the season through 2 games. And the big thing is really this, is that the Bills, again, are always going to be talked about in the first instance with Josh Allen as the first thing that comes out of people's mouth when you think about the offense. There was a big discussion, a lot of debate in the offseason of what to do with James Cook's contract situation, pay him or not. I think he is proving so far this season that the Bills made the right call in giving him that contract. And he is the second best player on the offense besides Josh Allen. And it goes to show that the Bills can win any style of football game offensively. Josh Allen didn't have a touchdown in this game, and we know that's
Mhm.
rare. James Cook carried the load. We've seen him do this on some occasions, but man, this gives you so much confidence that the Bills can win in a variety of ways and on the ground. So, man, James Cook, keep it going, my man, and well earned on that contract.
We got Pops Mafia coming in saying Bosa pressure, which is a nice little preview of my one big thing in this game that you were very generous enough not to steal. Justin Tippecanoe comes in and says one big thing, Josh Palmer gets open. We're going to have a conversation about Josh Palmer and the receivers tonight as well when we get to the offense. And Eric K comes in and says aggressive play calling on defense. Yeah, we're going to talk about the defensive play calling and the job that Bobby Babich, Ryan Nielsen, and co did in this one. But my big thing is, man, I need the football gods to keep Joey Bosa healthy. You said that, nothing goes together quite like Bills defensive players and injuries. I need that not to be the case with Joey Bosa this year. I think we finally have that catalyst in Joey Bosa, that difference maker along the defensive line that this football team has been missing. On just 15 pass rush snaps in this game against the Jets, he had 7 pressures, a sack, and 2 forced fumbles. He just pops off the tape in a way that I don't think I ever remember a Buffalo Bills defender ever popping. Obviously, there were some oohs and some ahs with Von Miller playing that slippery game that he plays, but the power and the aggression that Joey Bosa plays with, that is the type of stuff we've been, I think, looking
Mario
for.
Williams is the last one that
Mhm.
comes even
Yeah.
close, I would say.
Yeah,
I would say.
I would agree with that as well. Just that power and aggression that really comes with, playing along that defensive line. Bobby Babich Sr., who coached Joey Bosa in Los Angeles, it might have been in San Diego at the time, called Bobby Babich Jr. after the game and said, "Man, looks like Joey Bosa's having some fun." And multiple people who have followed the Chargers for years and years and years said, "Yeah, that's the Joey Bosa of old out there against the New York Jets." So exactly what the Buffalo Bills defense needed. The goal now is to keep him healthy and playing that way into the postseason.
Yes. And this is where you get kind of into that conversation of like, the LeBron treatment of like, does he does he kind of like save himself, right? Quote for the
Yeah.
postseason, because obviously conditioning and like you're gonna need him as a big factor. And if you want to get the 1 seed, obviously he's gonna play a huge role in the Bills trying to get that 1 seed. But yeah, I mean, you can play him 15 to 25 snaps, and that's really all you maybe need to play from him. And so it's
Mhm.
kind of like what they were maybe envisioning with Von Miller, but like you really don't need to play him more than that. And then Michael Hoyt's going to come back, so you'll have a little bit more help on the way as well. Maybe Landon Jackson actually is active for for some games coming up. It was kind of a bummer to see him inactive, but hey, that's what it is. And so there are other bodies kind of there and on the way there for the Bills to kind of preserve Joey Bosa if that's kind of their plan, which I think it is their plan. But yeah, that's the big question, right? And that's why he was a quote bargain at $10 million in the offseason because of the lengthy injury history. I mean, you're not going to that guy's not going to sign a 1-year, $10 million deal if he didn't have the injury history he did. He's getting a Myles Garrett type of deal, which he already had previously from the Chargers. He would have gotten another one. So that's why. So that's the question. Can he stay healthy for the whole year?
Yeah, really looking forward to Michael Hoyt coming back. I think that'll go a long way to keeping Joey Bosa fresh. All right, we're going to get into our biggest takeaways from the offense, from the defense. We got to have a conversation about special teams tonight. But first, a quick word from our sponsor.
Picasso's Pizza. To the most flavorful pizza on game day. Picasso's. We are Buffalo Pizza. Shipping both local and nationwide. Order online today at Picasso'sPizza.net.
This episode is brought to you by Picasso's Pizza with 4 convenient locations in Williamsville, West Seneca, Lancaster, and Blaisdell. Picasso's Pizza has been serving Buffalo's best pizza since 1980. Whether you're local or across the country, you can enjoy their delicious pizza delivered fresh to your door. Visit Picasso'sPizza.net to place your order today. Once again, that is Picasso'sPizza.net. All right, so let's have a conversation here about the offense. And I see Kyle Thompson with a question about the defense or a take about the defense. So I'm going to favorite that, Kyle. And we're going to get to the defense here in a little bit. Our focus right now on the offense after a win on a victory Monday, always got to start with the positives. They've always start with Joe Brady, right? Like I thought he called an excellent game. He was asked a great question by Sal Capaccio today during his press conference. Like, you know, what goes into running the same play 2 times in a row? Like, what's your philosophy surrounding that? And his take was great. He's like, I'm going to spam guys until it doesn't work anymore. If something is working, why let them go to the sidelines and adjust to something? I'm going to keep hammering it with them while they have no time to adjust because they're in the middle of a drive. So that was really an awesome and insightful answer from him. You saw James Cook run once, get a modest gain, and then bust off his long touchdown run on the same exact play the very next play. So that right there is an example of Joe Brady really literally spamming something, right, as long as it was working. I thought the run game diversity was really impressive in this game too. Going into PFF today and looking at it, it was 19 zone runs, 14 gap runs, and 4 scrambles. There are some teams where like, we're a zone running team or we're a gap running team. Buffalo was like, F it, we're both. Like try game planning for that. So I think the diversity in this run game is also really impressive. So kudos to Joe Brady, Aaron Cromer, all the guys who went into installing that. Because again, it was just a workmanlike performance. Josh Allen didn't do anything crazy in this game because he didn't have to do anything crazy in this game.
No, and I like what you said about the diversity in the run game because it's not just being able to run zone, run power, gap styles, but then you add Josh Allen as an X factor as part of the running game, whether it's off script or whether it's designed, and you start to see how effective this Bills running game can be. Workman fine, but they still racked up 224 rushing yards in the game, 5.2 per carry, and 3 touchdowns on the ground, and obviously mixed in a few end arounds, sweep type things with Elijah Moore as well on one of the scoring plays. So that was also nice to see, kind of like brought back memories of some of the stuff they used to do with Isaiah McKenzie when he was here. So it was nice to see Elijah Moore get a couple touches and then really mix it up on the ground. And again, as I was kind of saying when I was talking about James Cook and the one big thing, the fact that the Bills are not really often thought about as like a run first team, because they're not necessarily run first, but like as a running team, as a good running team, but they really are one of the best running teams in the league. And the fact that you start to look around the league, the best teams in the league, like the Ravens, the Lions, the Bills, like these are teams that can pass and run the ball really effectively. And those are going to be the teams likely is standing there at the end. So really hats off to the Bills running game and Joe Brady. I think it's an interesting, like an ego check thing and in a good way for Joe Brady, as in like, my ego's not too big to sit here and not call the same play 2 times in a row. Like, I'll do it if it's working. I think a lot of guys and a lot of coordinators probably wouldn't either give you an honest answer or like not do that just out of the principle of like, it's maybe doesn't feel professional or whatever the word may be. But like, he's like, hey, if they're not going to stop it, I'm going to keep running it. So I appreciated that honesty from him.
Yeah, and James Cook, you already highlighted James Cook, so maybe we won't spend too much time on it, but 21 carries for 132 yards at 6.3 yards per carry. He had the 2 touchdowns. He was a superstar for multiple fantasy teams of mine. So again, like Josh Allen only had 11 fantasy points for me this week, and then James Cook blew up and carried my team because I have a team with Derrick Henry, Josh Allen, and James Cook in Dynasty, and James Cook carried the load for all 3 of those guys this week on that team. He obviously had that electric back-breaking 44-yard touchdown run. But I think what was most impressive, he had 2 big explosive, 2 10-plus yard runs, 88 yards after contact, right? So this is this like little slender, everyone thought he would be like a third down receiving back, kind of in the JD McKissick role. No, like this dude is now a bona fide NFL running back. He's a top 10, probably NFL running back. He is way more than I think most people projected he would be. And those 88 yards after contact are proof of that. And just watching the way he attacks the hole, watching the way he can just jump cut and just the groove and the chemistry that he has right now with this offensive line and the way they're blocking for him, it is super evident. And you mentioned it earlier, especially in contrast to the way Ray Davis is kind of, working through it right now when he has an opportunity to carry the ball.
James Cook, the feel, like you said, that he has for the blocks, and it is vision, but it's more than that. Like, I don't want to even shortchange him by saying it. Like, it's really a feel, right? For little openings, little creases, a feel for where his blockers are going to be, and just the smoothness in which he's cutting and accelerating up the field, the balance, it's all there. And like you said, he isn't just maybe what people thought he was going to be out of school, a third down back, a receiving back, like more of a gimmicky type running back. He is the complete package, right? And he proved it last year, I would say, with some of the more power, showed some more of what he could do from a power standpoint, and that's just continued now on into this year so far.
And we got to give the offensive line their flowers and the tight ends too, from a blocking perspective. When we get into the negatives, there's not a lot of negatives to talk about this football game. I got a little something to say about the way Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox seem to be struggling catching the ball today. But from a strictly blocking perspective, the Buffalo Bills only surrendered 1 quarterback hit, 6 hurries, and 7 pressures in this game. 1 pressure and hurry was Ty Johnson on one of his assignments. So if you don't count that Ty Johnson block and don't attribute that to the offensive line had an even better day from a statistical standpoint. Anthony Prohaska was doing a great job today and last night, sort of posting and just showing the push that the right side of this offensive line, Osiris Torrance and Spencer Brown, get in the space that they can create for the running back at the line of scrimmage. You have Kincaid on the Moore touchdown getting after it as a blocker. He's showing so much more as a blocker this year. Eric Turner was doing a great job posting clips of Dawson Knox. So again, even though I got some words for Dawson Knox here in a little bit, still getting after it as an inline blocker. Jackson Hawes getting after it as an inline blocker. Like 3 years from now, Jackson Hawes is going to get paid by somebody, whether it's here or somewhere else, to just go and block people. Kind of like Lee Smith got like that surprising deal that we saw years and years and years ago. Like, who would pay Lee Smith that kind of money? Jackson Hawes, if he keeps this up, is going to get paid a pretty decent, hefty second contract because he looks like he's about to make a living in this league, absolutely getting after defensive ends and linebackers in the running game and as a pass protector as well. So another big game from the rookie Jackson Hawes in this one. Got to give the flowers to that offensive line.
Man, and what an asset for the Bills. And I know like there's question marks about next year with McGovern and Edwards. And look, let's ride this out while we've got these guys together, man. I mean, this offensive line is fantastic. Run blocking, pass blocking. The Bills offensive line has gone through an evolution dating back to kind of when they, really kind of gave Spencer Brown that chance, drafted Torrance, really moved on from Mitch Morse and gave McGovern the keys at the pivot. Like they've moved away from that sort of reputation of being like that finesse type of offensive line to being really a complete power powerful offensive line, but also can really still be effective in pass protection. And it kind of, I go back, whenever I think about this offensive line, I go back to that sort of AFC Championship game where the Bills got absolutely destroyed by the Chiefs. Kind of maybe they got to that game a bit early ahead of schedule,
Mhm.
and the Bills offensive line just was an absolute like no show. I think Feliciano was still on the O-line. It was just like, and you can see the evolution of how the offensive line has, one of the things that Brandon Beane, I think, has really done a great job of, and you can be critical of him on other things, but the offensive line he's gotten right, and it's been really fun to see.
Yeah. Taking a look at some other things. How about the receivers? I think the receivers had a respectful day. Obviously, not asked to do too much as the running game sort of led the way in this game. Keon Coleman, 3 catches for 26 yards. He had that one called back on the offensive pass interference that I personally don't think it was a very good call. Obviously, I think at first glance, I was like, whoa, that's offensive pass interference. Of course, a flag got thrown. But then when you saw the replay, you're like, not really. Now, a lot of people have sort of pointed out Coleman could have played it in a different way to make it look less like it was. Because even though it wasn't OPI, it kind of in real time looked like OPI. So there's ways he could have attacked the ball that would have prevented those optics, but it is what it is. He caught 3 for 26. Palmer, I think, did a good job separating a couple of clutch situations, 2 catches for 47 yards. Same with Elijah Moore, 1 for 31, and they allowed him to get that jet sweep touchdown as well. A little revenge game. They led the game. They let Elijah Moore get the first touch, and they let him get a touchdown in this game. I think in large part due to the fact that it was a revenge game for him, and then Kincaid chipped in 4 for 37. So a respectable day for the receivers, but any thoughts on the Bills passing and or receiving game in this one?
It wasn't crisp, I would say, early on. I mean, it was enough to get the job done. Obviously, they leaned on the run game, but the passing game wasn't exactly crisp. I early on, there were some big moments. Obviously, Palmer's catch when Trubisky came in, and a couple others. But again, this was a game where you didn't really have to lean on the passing game a ton. So I don't really have any major critiques on the passing game. The OPI on Coleman, I'm not super bent out of shape about it. I mean, you could say there was an arm extension there. I could see that as like a 50-50 call going either way. And unfortunately, it did go against them at a crappy time because that was a big conversion there. And the Bills didn't end up converting after that. But yeah, I think the receivers, given how the game flow was kind of playing out, I don't really have a ton of critiques for them. And,
Do you know what was
people
the
mentioned,
most? Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, people mentioned Shakira hadn't really gotten going yet either. And that's another thing. So we'll see. They didn't need him. He was like a guy we kind of pegged was going to potentially be an X factor in this game, and only had the 1 catch for 12 yards. So
do you know what concept was most effective for the Buffalo Bills in the passing game this week? Something we talked about in the pregame. That's why the Bills do more of.
Play action.
Play action. The Bills ran play action on 36.7% of their dropbacks. It was by far the most effective concept with a 70% completion percentage. Josh Allen went 7 of 10 on his 11 dropbacks out of play action for 66 yards. So we had the most yards per attempt of any concept. Second most yards of any concept. Highest completions percentage by a mile of any concept. So the Bills were most effective in the passing game in this game when using play action. So definitely would like to see the Bills continue to implement more and more and more play action. There was 30 dropbacks in this game for the Bills and Josh Allen, where he attempted a pass, and 10 of them, so pretty much essentially a third of them, actually literally a third of them, were play action, and those were the most successful for the Buffalo Bills. Negatives. My big negative for the offense was, I think, Ray Davis. I was not a big fan of the Bills pulling James Cook after his big touchdown run and resting him the next drive. I'm like, well, no, you had the whole defensive series to rest. Get James Cook back out there. And I think at this point, Ty Johnson has more juice than Ray Davis. It's nothing against Ray Davis. He's just not in a groove right now. And maybe the argument is he's got to play a little bit more to get back into a groove. But to me, Ray Davis is a backup right now. Ride Cook, ride Ty. I don't understand why Ray Davis is even seeing the field offensively.
And I said this in the pregame, right? You want to say, like, Ty Johnson's the third down back, but he's really RB2. And I know they're trying to get Davis reps. And again, he has to get into a groove. And some guys, get into more of a groove the more volume they get. And it's a tough situation, I think, for the Bills, because I think they do want to get him reps and they do want to get him into a groove, because I don't think they want to necessarily grind James Cook into the ground. Not that they are, but we're 2 games in, and I think they do want to eventually get some contributions from Ray Davis this season. And again, I said before the season as well, don't expect a huge change in Ray Davis's usage. I think if anything, it might go down a little, and that's kind of what we're seeing. But it would be nice to see him be a bit more effective. I think last year they were able to get him involved more early on in the season, kind of grinding down some of those games early in the season where his efficiency wasn't great, but he was effective, at least sort of getting yards where they were. And maybe that will come. And I think, like, again, he's only in his second year. He'll get it going a bit. And I think, the Miami Dolphins is an interesting one because he's had some closer-ish type of games against them. So maybe it's a situation where he can come in and be a bit more effective against them. But yeah, I'm with you on that.
And our tight ends in catching the football. That's another thing that really bugged me in this game. Dalton Kincaid got kind of bailed out by a penalty, but the penalty had no effect on his ability to catch that football. It went right through his hands. That was disappointing to see. And then Dawson Knox on one of those tight end leaks absolutely dropped one that could have been an easy first down. And then he had another drop, right? Like where the ball just went right through his hands. And I get it that these guys are getting after it in the run game. I'll give Dalton Kincaid more of a pass because he's been consistently contributing over the past 2 games as a receiver. But Dawson Knox, man, like, I get it. You're getting after it in the run game. You're chipping in your 2-3 catches a game. But when you are paid $10 million to play tight end, you catch the ball when it's thrown to you. Like 2 drops in one game. Like, this isn't some like, oh, it's just one bad week. This is a consistent issue with this dude. And he's making double-digit millions of dollars.
This is one of the things that we've lived with Dawson Knox for years. Is like he makes some of the most ridiculous catches, but then he drops sometimes the easy ones, right? And it's just it's kind of maddening, and it's just kind of who he is at this point. I don't think we're gonna get anything different, but yeah, it was frustrating. I'm happy it wasn't sort of hugely important to the outcome of the game. It really wasn't at the end, but in some bigger moments, like we're gonna lose some sleep over that some of these times.
On to the defense now, and no negatives for the defense tonight. So we're not going to say anything bad about the defense because they put up quite the performance against the New York Jets. You had sacks from Joey Bosa, Gregory Rousseau, Cole Bishop, Daquan Jones, Zion Logue. Now I was using PFF. PFF charted one more sack than like most other box scores. So maybe one of those guys that I just mentioned didn't have a sack statistically, but PFF gave them all sacks. We already mentioned Joey Bosa's day with 7 pressures, a sack, and 2 forced fumbles.
I don't think PFF doesn't do half sacks. I don't think.
Oh, okay. So 2 of these dudes had half a sack.
Yeah, Rousseau and Logue
they shared half sack. All right,
yeah.
Very good. Thank you for that. And so they allowed 3 real points, 7 garbage time points. Justin Fields had 27 yards. It was a dominant performance from the Buffalo Bills defense.
And it started right away, right? Early in the game, Bosa with the forced fumble, early in the game, just causing Justin Fields all kinds of problems. And what really, you don't see it necessarily from the broadcast angle, but that the back end in the coverage for the Bills defense as well. Trey White coming up and helping in run support, but like really the secondary overall, I think hugely improved game from a week ago. And we said I said if Trey White was healthy, he was going to start, and he did, and he played well. And again, you don't see it from the broadcast angle, but like a lot of these times, like Justin Fields 0 for 11 on third, or the Jets 0 for 11 on third down, like that is a testament as well to the back end of this team, the secondary. And I know, look, the Jets don't have a ton of weaponry, right? It's Garrett Wilson and kind of a bunch of other guys, but that's still really impressive. And especially I want to give a shout out to in the back end to Cole and to Taylor Rapp.
Yeah.
Because it felt like they were playing with a bit of a chip on their shoulders in this game. I didn't even mind the unnecessary roughness that Cole Bishop got. It was kind of ticky-tack anyway because someone else came in and kind of knocked them over. But like, I like that intensity out of Cole Bishop in this game as well, because it felt to me at times that he's been a bit passive from just an attitude and swagger standpoint. And that obviously expected early in your career, but like there was a different attitude for those guys in the back end today. And it showed all the way up into their run defense. And Cole Bishop even came in. Cole Bishop even came in and had a sack as well, I believe, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he
Yeah,
did.
he had a
Yeah.
sack. So
I
that
thought Justin Fields was going to wiggle out of it, and then Cole Bishop finished it. And I was like, thank God. I didn't want to see
yeah.
another QB wiggle out of a sack and
Well,
to make a big run like that and rob our guy of a sack. Yeah.
He had him by the ankle, so I knew he wasn't going to let him go, but I thought Fields was going to be able to throw it away,
Toss it away, yeah.
Yeah, and he didn't, so that was good.
I'll tell you what, like there was a lot to like about this Trey White, solid in run support, right? Like that was going into the game. I was like, I'd rather have Dorian Strong start, like because I think he's better in run support than Trey White, or has more potential in run support. I was clearly wrong. Like Trey White got after it in the run game, and you mentioned it. The 0 for 11 on third down. The secondary plays a large role in that. Christian Benford, solid as always. I think the game plan was legit. You saw a lot of 5-man pressures, which is a Ryan Nielsen thing. So you're seeing his sort of, the fingers he's putting on this defense, right? But give Bobby Babich his credit too. Effective use of run blitzes really stunted the Jets' ability to get anything going and even get like positive yards on first down so they could run again on second down. Like they really weren't in those type of situations in this game because of the effective use of the run blitz. And I thought they bracketed Garrett Wilson really well. He had that one, then he had that second one where if it was a better throw, he probably would have caught it, even though Benford was right behind there to light him up. So who knows if he would have held on to it. So there was only 1 or 2 instances where you even noticed Garrett Wilson was on the team. We said like going in outside of Justin Fields, who's like a playmaker because of his ability to both throw and run. And we shut him the hell down. Right. It was Breece Hall and it was Garrett Wilson. Breece Hall didn't do shit. Garrett Wilson didn't do shit. The Bills shut those two down and the Jets had absolutely no other answer because those are the only 2 players on offense they have with a pulse.
And we said going into the game, or at least I said, hey, if, Justin Fields had his 12 for 48, like he had last week against the Steelers, we'd probably be okay with that. And he ends up with the 5 for 49 on the ground. So only 9.8 or 9.8. So he had obviously a higher yards per rush, but then the passing, right, 3 for 11.
And all that rushing was on that one play?
That one
big play?
Yeah, it was that one broken play where the Bills are notorious for giving those types of things up. It happened with Lamar last week too on that one. But the Bills once a game, they are good for giving up a ginormous run to a quarterback.
Obviously, it's kind of hard to gauge on first watch, and I'll have to go back and rewatch the game. But I mean, you didn't notice TJ Sanders, Deion Walker in a bad way, right? So they must have had a good game. I know Eric Turner and Anthony Prohaska, because they're absolute freaks, right? Already breaking down that film, showing that Daquan Jones, Deion Walker, they did a nice job clogging up, muddying up the middle for the linebackers and the safeties to go to work. I thought Zion Logue had some really nice juice he made a couple of splash plays that really stuck out to me.
He's an NFL quality player.
Zion Logue. He hopefully, right, he can be the new Elianku, and we can have him on this roster for years to come. I don't know if he's like ever going to be a dude, but like I think you're right. Like 4th, 5th defensive tackle.
Could play. Yeah, he could be on a 53-man roster somewhere.
100%. And that's kudos to the Bills because that was a guy who was drafted by another team, the Atlanta Falcons. When they had injuries last year, they went out and signed him to the active roster, and then were able to get him back onto our practice squad. So the Bills were able to finagle another team's draft pick onto their practice squad early last year. So kudos to Brandon Beane for doing that. And how about the creative use of Javon Solomon as an interior rusher? That was pretty cool. That was pretty interesting to see.
Interesting to see because, again, preseason was a bit up and down for him. But, again, he's only in his second year. Thought he was going to be more of a pass rushing type of specialist. But I do like that the Bills are willing to try some things out with him. Maybe this is a precursor to what we might see again with Michael Hoyt. We already know he can do that. So, like, the Bills kind of maybe not necessarily it's not Aaron Kromer, obviously, because it's defensive side, but kind of mixing and matching a bit with their guys on the edge, playing inside as well. I was like, oh, I kind of like raised my eyebrow at that one.
AJ Epinesa, I think, is 11th. I saw today on Twitter in pass rush win rate. in the National Football League. Joey Bosa is top 5. So AJ Epinesa too, getting out there, getting
Well,
after
AJ
it.
Epinesa on the one that Joey Bosa knocked the ball out, he was there first.
Mhm.
Like let's give him a little credit on that. He was there first. Bosa made the play,
Yeah.
but AJ was there as well, kind of helping out. So yeah,
And I saw
he
some
did a
people
good job.
knocking Groot, saying like, "Oh, you get paid so much money. Why you been invisible for 2 games?" Like, I know he had the half sack in this game, so he did put up a little bit in the box score. Listen, they as a team, everyone did their 111th, and they did awesome. So like, I'll worry about Groot.
I'm not worried about
I'll worry
Groot at
about
all.
yeah, I'll worry about Groot when like it starts to seem like it's problem.
Yeah.
All right, he gets off to a slow start, but then he goes on a heater for 4 weeks. Like in
He is
with
that
the
type of
snap
guy
of
too.
with the snap of a finger, that can change. So not too worried about that. Obviously, we already spoke about the Matt Milano injury. There was a great question here from Kyle Thompson much earlier in the show. So thank you for Kyle. Hopefully you're still with us here in the comment section. We're finally getting to this comment. He says, I think Dorian's going to come in and show us why he's the right guy to replace Milano going into the future. He's a hitting machine. I'm actually going to disagree with this take a little bit, because last year I wasn't a big fan of when Dorian Williams came on the field as the second linebacker. I have no problem with him as the third linebacker. I just think you're losing a ton in pass coverage. Like you even saw in this game, he blew an assignment. And if it wasn't for a bad throw from Justin Fields, Isaiah Davis could have caught a ball and run up the field for 30 yards. Like it, and again, like, oh, he missed, he didn't get all those reps in practice. No wonder he misses. I get it. But like, I, and again, like, I get it. Like, I'm stumbling on my words here. Like in a perfect world, Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard just play, and it's not a perfect world. It's pretty much what I'm trying to say. But man, I'm not interested in seeing what Dorian Williams has as linebacker too. Like I'm not looking forward to having to witness that on Thursday night, because I don't personally think it's going to go well. Can we get by? Yeah, of course. But again, prove me wrong, Dorian Williams. I don't think he's the future number 2 linebacker here.
I think he's good enough for replacement now. But I worry about him when it comes to pass coverage. Athletically, I do not worry about him. He's a great athlete. He's a good run defender. He has sideline to sideline ability. But it's the pass coverage and maybe some of the mental things here for him that, again, he got really valuable reps a year ago. I think a lot of people are high on Dorian Williams and what he can do to come in for Milano, but you are going to be sacrificing something, especially in pass coverage with him coming in. And that's the reason why that combo of Bernard and Milano is so great, because they can both, like we talk about the safeties being interchangeable, like the linebackers are interchangeable when it's Milano and Bernard as well.
Bob R comes in with an interesting comment. He says, Williams is not the guy I want to see versus Miami's passing game. Jenkins on passing downs, Thompson, question mark. It's going to be Dorian Williams, right? It's going to be Dorian Williams. I don't think Keontae Jenkins is going to have a chance really to prove himself in that regard, barring injury. But Shaq Thompson is the interesting one, because I say it's going to be Dorian Williams. If Shaq Thompson was healthy, I think it would be Shaq Thompson, right? Like we had this talk preseason about expectations, and I said my expectation was Milano and Bernard are your top 2 linebackers. Dorian Williams is your base third guy to shut down the run and to help you in the run. And that if one of Milano or Bernard goes down, it's going to be Shaq Thompson. And I was pretty confident in that. I'm less confident now because he's dealing with an injury as well. So if Shaq Thompson was healthy, my prognostication would be Shaq Thompson starts for Matt Milano on Thursday. But Shaq Thompson is not healthy. He is once again limited in practice. He was inactive last week due to his injury. It's going to be Dorian Williams next week, this week, if Matt Milano can't go. And chances are Matt Milano can't go.
Yeah. That gives me a little bit of like trigger warning with a guy like Achane out of the backfield and like thinking of Dorian Williams covering. Anyway, not for tonight's discussion.
But Ariel Grant comes in and says, let's go 6 DBs. I love Cam Lewis, 4-1-6 against Miami. You got Cam Lewis dealing with a knee injury as well, limited in practice. And you have Taron Johnson dealing with an injury quad, limited in practice. So your nickels are banged up. Your pass coverage linebacker is banged up. So that's going to be something the Bills are going to have to figure out this week. And they're going to have to do so on short notice. All right. Special teams. Got to talk about a little special teams this week. Let's start with Sam Franklin, right? 2 monster tackles on special teams. This is a guy who was brought here to be a special teams ace, and he is proving early why the Buffalo Bills went and signed him. He's got that familiarity with Chris Tabor from their days in Carolina. He set the tone. McDermott even went out of his way during the post-game press conference to shout out Sam Franklin. So that was awesome to see. Maybe Sam Franklin can start at weak side linebacker for the Buffalo Bills this week. But an awesome game from Sam Franklin. That was really cool to see.
Exactly as advertised for Sam Franklin. And I think that this is a guy that McDermott, you mentioned he called him out. Like this is what McDermott dreams about when he puts his head on his pillow at night, is a guy like Sam Franklin being on his football team, because for years we talked about how much maybe he overvalued special teams only type of players, but man, it certainly looked good in this situation. And I'm happy for him too, personally, just to get that impact, those impact plays in. And so, yeah, big fan of his now.
A couple other things to talk about here. Cam Johnston, the punter, making his first appearance for the Buffalo Bills. 3 punts for 130 yards. It's a 43.3 yard average. He had 2 kicks inside the 20-yard line. This might be a little bit of a hyperbolic statement here, but given just the history of what Johnston's done in this league and seeing what he did on Sunday, he's the best punter the Bills have had since what? Brian Moorman? Like, I might not even be joking here. This might not be a hyperbolic statement. This dude's legit. This dude somehow fell into our laps, and I'm feeling really good about him as a punter. Obviously, we will need more sample size, but he's looking like the healthy Johnston that was a very, very good punter for the last couple of years in the National Football League.
And again, Sean McDermott dreams about when he goes to bed, because he's looking at himself in the mirror. So that's another bonus for him. No, in all seriousness, he had a good game. And yeah, I mean, punters and kicker, it's weird, right? Like a guy like Matt Prater, and we're going to talk about him in a second, is on the street because of his age and stuff. And a guy like Johnston falls in your lap, and all of a sudden you piece together a pretty decent special teams kicking unit here, and unexpected, like not what we were talking about 3 weeks ago. Yep. So
hopefully there are no more spin-offs of The Walking Dead that are casting right now, because Matt Prater who looks like he could be a star of one of those Walking Dead series. Just absolutely killing it right now as the Bills kicker. 3 for 3, long of 52. Someone said it looked anemic. I don't disagree. I think, but it still went through the field goal post with plenty of room. Like, he could have knocked that kick in from 60. It looked like.
Also, the Bills aren't going to be attempting any like 60 yards.
Yeah,
like, let's be real. They're not going.
He had a long of 52. He was 3 for 3 on his extra points. He was 3 for 3 on his field goals. I said it before, and I'll say it again. He's better than Tyler Bass. He's better than Tyler Bass.
I mean, is Matt Prater a Hall of Fame kicker? Like, I'll ask that question.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. There's some really good kickers that aren't in the Hall of Fame, so I'm guessing probably not. But he's been historically one of the.
He did have the NFL record for a little bit when he made that 64-yarder for Denver. So,
I don't think we're going to be attempting any 64-yard field goals for the win here soon. But hey, that brings us to our next topic, around the league. And how about those Indianapolis Colts? Those Indianapolis Colts 2-0.
Oh my god! I was thinking about you. Broncos got boned, by the way.
But like tasted their own medicine. The Bills had that a couple of years ago. Bills had the too many men. The Broncos got to kick 2 field goals. So now the Broncos fans get to feel that go both ways. So a little bit to talk about, like the Colts 2-0, the Chiefs 0-2. That's pretty freaking cool. I'm not going to talk about the jerseys they were wearing pregame, but that ticked me off a little bit. Did you see that? You see the shirts?
The rice one, free rice.
Like, I don't want to make this show about this. This show's about football, but that's so gross. It's just so gross. Yeah. Eagles, tush push. We're bringing back that controversy again.
I mean, that was pretty bad, though. I mean, that was pretty bad.
There are some other highlights of previous plays, though, where like Chris Jones is jumping over the line of scrimmage. The Chiefs players are lining off. Someone actually made a really good comment today. They said, just ban linemen and tight ends being able to go down on all fours, like putting both hands on the ground.
Yeah, I think
make it to where, like that.
Gary said that. That's a good idea, though.
That's a good compromise. To me, here's where I stand on the tush push. Not that anyone cares, but here's where I stand. I think in terms of competitive nature, the Eagles are 100% in the right. You don't like it because you can't stop it. I get that. But from an entertainment value standpoint, man, it fucking sucks. Like it's just not fun. It's just not fun. And at the end of the day, like sometimes this is an entertainment industry a little bit. So like I'm almost at the point where like I don't really have an opinion one way or the other. But if they ban it, I don't think I'll be mad. Yeah, I don't.
I don't ever want to be in a situation where that's like a determining factor in a game that I care about.
Mhm.
Like that's all I would say. Like they're going to get it. Like it's like, what is it? Like they only haven't gotten it once or something like that. I don't even know what the percentage is, but I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, from an entertainment factor standpoint, it's an awful play to watch. It's not
Mhm.
fun. I mean, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know what you do to change it because they went through the conversation, didn't they, in the competition committee
Mhm.
this off season,
Yeah.
and it was kept. So
Yeah, it was pretty
yeah,
favorable. Like Ariel Grande comes in and says it was 22-10 for banning. I don't know what number they needed to get it banned, but a few more and they might be there. Jason N comes in and says Chiefs play the Ravens in 2 weeks. That's a game I will love no matter who wins because the Chiefs started 0-2. So yeah, I think that's what do we think of the Chiefs? Like to me, that might be the game where it's like, well, we can really make
uh,
our stance about the Chiefs known like after week because I don't know who they play this week, but if if they lose to the Ravens and they're 1-3, or God forbid they lose to whoever they play this week and they're 0-4, like I get it. Like some guys will come back
right.
from injuries and they'll catch their groove at some point, probably, but they're digging themselves into a Bengals like hole here.
They play the Giants this week. So
Yeah. And Russ is cooking right now. So
yes, wow, yeah.
that game was nuts, dude. So you had the game
I,
of the week 1, and then you had the game of the week again in week 2. I think it was watered down a little bit because it took them till the end of overtime. I took my daughter for a
yes,
nap, so I missed the end of the game. I just know the Cowboys won. I saw the 64-yarder. I'm like, all right, gotta go, put my daughter down for a nap. And on weekends, she only naps if I nap with her, and it's a great nap for me. I love my midday naps. So I missed the end of the game, but from what I was told, it took all 15 minutes of overtime.
yeah. They were punting back and forth essentially.
Yeah. So like
in
all
over.
the goodwill that like the Malik Neighbors catch and the 64-yard field goal had and all the craziness of that fourth quarter, I think was watered down a little bit by just how awful that overtime had to have been to witness. So Bills Ravens still game of the year. Still game of the year, I think. But that was a pretty cool one to witness. And Red Zone was cooking, man. Dude, the witching hour is so real. Like until Red Zone existed, I had no idea the witching hour is a thing, but gosh darn, it's fun. I just love watching the fourth quarter, watching teams just choke leads. The Cardinals almost choked a lead this week. They were up by like
Broncos
3
did.
touchdowns, gave up an onside kick, almost let Bryce Young come back on you. Like, come on now. You can't do that. Bryce Young with like 2 backup offensive linemen, you can't let that happen. Cardinals almost did. Like, that was crazy. So
Kyler had some nice plays. I was impressed.
I'm the opposite. He's had a couple of nice plays, but I think in totality, he's really showing his ceiling this year. He can't see the middle of the field. He just can't.
No, he can't.
Like
No, he can't.
literally can't.
Yeah.
He's and like they've played the Saints and they have played the Panthers and they have just like limped to wins in both of those games. So again, they're 2-0 and 2-0 is 2-0. And now they'll get to play some real teams and they'll get to prove themselves. And I think Jonathan Gannon is a solid coach, but I think if Monty Austinforth and Jonathan Gannon were really looking in the mirror hard at that franchise, they're probably thinking to themselves, what can we do to find a fail safe at quarterback? Because I would be looking to get out of that Kyler Murray deal as soon as I could if I were them. I think you're capped with him. I don't see much of a ceiling past one and done in the playoffs.
It's just hard, right? Because I mean, obviously they made the right call in kind of an unprecedented fashion in drafting him a year after they had drafted Josh Rosen. But now they're kind of in the same situation where it's like, do we look at Kyler Murray and say this is our ceiling? I think there is like enough ceiling plays there that it's going to be hard to quit Kyler Murray. I think even the Cardinals organization. But it's an interesting conversation to have. I think they've put enough around him this year. Well, I don't know if they have. I mean, McBride and Harrison is pretty awesome, and Connor is
Mhm.
obviously a pro, but like, do they have enough around him to know, like, is this the year for the Cardinals to really? I mean, I know you picked them as a playoff team this year,
Yeah.
but I don't know that they're a playoff team.
Like I said, I think they're like fringe, like one and done. Like I think they
Yeah.
can get there, especially given their strength of schedule. But I just don't know once they get there if they'll do anything with that opportunity. All right,
Yep.
on now to our next opponent. I know just a couple of show notes here. You'll be doing a show pregame on Thursday. I
Yep.
will not. I will be in Disneyland watching this game from my phone, trying to get my wife not to yell at me for watching the Bills while on a family vacation. So all of that, I'll be fighting too. I'll be fighting a battle too on Thursday night. The Bills will be fighting the Dolphins, and I'll be fighting, not getting in the doghouse of my marriage. So two major battles.
Better odds, Dolphins winning or you not getting in the doghouse?
Uh, Dolphins winning. I'm getting in the doghouse nowhere fucking way. Like it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen at some point.
That's good.
At some point, like I'll be looking at my phone when I'm not supposed to, and I'll get a look. I'm gonna get a look.
Yeah, you'll get a look.
But yeah. Miami, they rebounded a little bit this week, losing to the New England Patriots 33-27. Tua was 26 of 32. I haven't watched the game yet. I literally put the highlights on to watch it last night and fell asleep about 30 seconds into the highlights and then never got a chance to watch them again. I'm assuming probably a ton of quick hitters, given the fact that their right guard and right tackle are on injured reserve and the fact that HN went 11 for 30. So I think that offensive line is probably going through it right now. And that defense for Miami, especially in the secondary, still a huge problem. Apparently Drake May was cooking. Again, haven't seen the highlights, but I'm feeling pretty good about getting Miami. I know it's on a short week, so crazy things can happen on a short week, but I'm expecting huge things from Josh Allen, this Bills offense against that Miami defense. And again, I think Miami's got the tools and the speed and the experience to, especially on a short week, put up some numbers offensively. But I think the Bills are just an absolute workhorse compared to that football team that's just not very physical.
We just hope Mike McDaniel continues to make totally questionable coaching decisions when coaching against the Bills, because in the past he's done that when they'd had things cooking with HN and they inexplicably go away for him and put the ball into his hands. Tua had some pretty bad interceptions against the Patriots. They did have some deeper throws in the game, a couple to Tyreek. There was some yak as well from HN on some of that. So the Bills will, they will have some weaponry to contend with. It'll be better than I think what the Jets were offering. Obviously, you're not going to have the issue with Tua running as you did the first 2 weeks with Lamar and Fields, but I think weaponry wise, the Dolphins have more than the Jets. So they can still hurt you. And it'll just depend on if those defensive injuries mount up enough for the Bills to give the Miami Dolphins a fighting chance in this, because I think defensively, the Dolphins just don't have enough to slow down the Bills. I mean, the Patriots really didn't look that great on offense in week 1 against the Raiders, and they put up 33, albeit one was a kick return touchdown against the Dolphins. But Drake May did look really good, and they were working it as well. And they were really working it to the running backs as receivers, the Patriots were. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. Maybe a Ty Johnson, James Cook type of thing. But I'll get more into that on Thursday. 6:00 is when I'm planning right now to go on for the pregame. It's a tight turnaround, I know, but give people a little bit of a chance to come in and get some replay value out of that if they can't catch it right at 6.
And then you'll obviously get the Cover One post game show after the game. I think Joe DeRosa is going to go on Friday. You're going to try to hop on with him if you can. And then usually, selfishly for us, I think from like a viewership standpoint, it's usually better for us to go on like a Friday or so. But that might be tough for our schedule. So there might not be an Air Raid Hour post game reaction takeaway show this week. Maybe we can fit something in like a Sunday morning thing or in our usually Monday slot, but we'll see on that regard. But Joe's a pretty good guy. I like Joe. He's got some good takes. Yeah. So give him a listen on Friday night, especially if we can't find a way to get ourselves on the air this week for our takeaways from that game. And hopefully it's a victory Friday. That'd be really nice. Nothing like just seeing me. What's up, Mike? You know that Michael Cera meme from Arrested Development where he's just walking with the shoulders down, like walking down and just like
Yes.
falls in. That'll be me at Disneyland on Friday. If you hit the Buffalo Bills, somehow find a way to lose to the Miami Dolphins.
The happiest place on earth, and you'll be like the most miserable person.
Like, you know, those like family pictures where like the kid's crying and everyone else is smiling. It'll be the opposite. It'll just be the kid smiling, me just like crying, just bawling my eyes out. The family
Crying, yes,
no big deal.
yes.
What? Like 20 years later, our kids looking at the picture like, Daddy, why is Daddy crying? Bills lost to the Dolphins.
My gosh. And the Bucs just beat the Texans, so that's interesting.
Yeah, and I won my fantasy because I had Bucky. Me and my coworker were in a virtual tie, and it was Bucky Irving versus Nico Collins, and Bucky Irving cleared.
Got you.
By
Got
10
it for
points. Yeah,
there you go.
Thank you. Dude, Bucky Irving's so good. I was so wrong on him. I thought he'd be too small to play in the NFL. He's so good. There's an interesting stat from Hall of Fame Steve Tasker, not the Hall of Famer Steve Tasker, but the anonymous Twitter account that is created to promote Steve Tasker as a Hall of Famer. And hey, the dude looks up some fun stats. He's on Uber level almost, looking up some fun stats. And Josh Allen's career versus Miami now spans 17 games, including the playoffs. In them, he's 15-2. He has thrown for 4,517 yards. He's rushed for another 757. And he has 44 passing touchdowns and 6 rushing touchdowns for a total of 50 touchdowns with only 11 turnovers. So needless to say, Josh Allen owns the Miami Dolphins.
And let's hope that trend continues on Thursday.
Let's hope that trend continues for the sake of my family photographs at Disney. Maybe we'll just take all the photos on Thursday morning.
Yeah, maybe that's a good idea, just in case.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us this evening. Again, if you are looking to support this show, there are 3 things that you can do. Number 1 is the easiest. Just take your thumb and hit that little like button that you see underneath the video. It goes a long way to helping us with the algorithm. You can also share this podcast for anyone you think would enjoy listening to us talk Buffalo Bills or would like and enjoy catching us on demand. You can share on socials. You can share via text. You can share via email. You can just write the link onto a piece of paper, crumple it up, and just, give it to a carrier pigeon to go throw out, into society somewhere. Whatever you need to do to help us spread the word here for the Air Raid Hour, we greatly appreciate that. And then last but not least, once the show is over and done being live, go back and leave a comment. It can be any comment. It could be a takeaway you had, something you think we missed, go Bills, anything really. And that helps us with the algorithm as well. Again, we try our best not to be some kind of, clickbait type of show. Our show title today is Buffalo Bills Stampede to the New York Jets. The New York Jets, James Cook, Joey Bosa make huge impacts. That might be the clickbaitiest title you've given a show this year, Dave. So Stampede is in all caps.
Well, yeah, I was trying a little SEO AI show title generator for this one. And, it's not my usual style, but
I like it. If we get more views, you're going to see more titles like this.
Felt good.
The quality will remain the same no matter how clickbaity the headline is, but we try not to. And that's not, I'm making a joke here. It's not much of a clickbait title compared to some of the other things you'll see on the internet. So anything that you guys can do to help us out goes
like Josh Allen injured and Jets win. Like that
Will Josh Allen play the Dolphins? Yeah, stuff like that. So thank you guys so much for joining us this evening. Greatly appreciate it. You guys killed it in the comment section as always. Hopefully we did a good enough job pulling up your comments and giving you guys the shine as well. If we didn't, hey, when the video's done being live, go over to the comment section and let us know we didn't do a good enough job. But even though you're mad at us, still click the like button. So anything you can do goes a long way. All right. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. And until next time, Dave, go Bills.
Go Bills.
Thank you for watching tonight's episode of the Air Raid Hour. Make sure to hit that like button on the way out. If you are catching the show on demand, leave a reply in the comments section and we will respond over the course of the week. You can always listen to every episode next day on all major podcasting platforms, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify by searching Air Raid Buffalo. Thank you for your continued support, and as always, go Bills!